This week, Kiefer's family, Donna and Richard, are visiting, so we're going to Cozumel for a 10-hour power visit. We'll be exploring San Gervasio, the Mayan ruins, the nature reserve at the bottom of the island, and a lighthouse. We started our day at 9 a.m., ferrying over to Cozumel, then rented our island car Ferrari for the day. There's not public transit on the island, so the best way to get around is by either renting a car or chartering a taxi for the whole day. Our first stop was San Gervasio, the larger of the two Mayan ruins that you can visit on the island. Cozumel was very special during the Mayan times because many young couples would travel to worship the goddess Ixchel to bless them with large and prosperous families. We recommend taking the tour because they go into great detail about the different ruins and rituals that the Mayans would perform in each area. We learned that the structures with pillars were temples or worship areas, and the Mayans were very particular about the numbers 3, 7, and 13, and routinely showed up in their religious practices. There are 7 different directions: east, west, north, south, heaven, earth, and the underworld. This archway has the 7 levels, including the top. Additionally, the entrances to these places of worship were very low because they believed that bowing the face was a way to pay respects to the gods. We also learned that there were roads that led all around the island. They were traveled by foot and were likely filled in with sand, so at night the moon would reflect on the white road and light the way. The Mayan temples were not pyramids. Pyramids start with a square base and transform into a triangular point. The Mayan structures were square at the bottom and at the top. San Gervasio is definitely worth checking out if you're interested in the rich history of the area. Now we're off to grab lunch at Marauder Point before heading to the nature preserve at the bottom of the island. Marauder Point was truly beautiful. We had delicious seafood while watching the turquoise waves break on the weathered limestone. Once you're done eating, take a stroll on the rocks to get a better view of the ocean. The rocks are pocketed because when the waves break, the less dense rock washes away because it is weaker. This leaves these pits in the ground in an interesting formation offshore. These pits can be quite sharp, so be careful not to trip and fall. Cozumel is only 40 miles long and is only one main road that goes around the island. The Nature Hunt Preserve is 100% worth it. Beware the entrance fee is $20 per person, and they only take cash because of the poor internet connection. Our first stop within was a wetland. It was a mangrove restoration area. Mangroves are extremely beneficial ecosystems to store carbon for thousands of years. They're much more effective than trees because they store the carbon deep within the soil. Trees only store carbon for the length of their lifetime. When they die, the carbon cycles back into the system. With blue carbon ecosystems, the store of carbon is in the soil and it's removed from the cycle, or at least until that soil is disturbed. Blue carbon ecosystems have been hot topics over the last few years. There's been many talks about them being used for green credits to reduce company or individual carbon footprints on the planet. Wetlands are also super helpful to reduce the destructive natures of natural disasters like hurricanes, because they act as a buffer, much like barrier islands or reefs. There's a beach at the end of the road where you can swim in the nature preserve, and it's open until 4 p.m. The water is extremely clear and super refreshing on a hot day. There are fields of seagrass, another blue carbon ecosystem sink. In this shot, you could see it in the darker splotches of the water. Seagrass cleans the water and makes the visibility much higher. Because we were in a nature preserve, there were so many amazing animal interactions we got to witness. For example, the pelicans feeding in front of us. It was time to make our final stop of the day before heading back to the Ferry building, the Lighthouse and Nautical Museum. They're both still in the nature reserve and open till 5:30 p.m. daily. It was an interesting blend of both Spanish and Mayan nautical history. The museum was very quaint, with only a few rooms and no additional entrance fee. I did find a lizard under the floorboards, and some raccoons and a cotis waiting outside the bathroom, so know that you'll be one with nature when you're exploring here. The area was quite cute and had more than just the museum and lighthouse. There were various stores, photo points, a swing, cenote, and some Mayan ruins overlooking the water. We climbed the windy stairs to the top of the lighthouse. The area was quite tight and low ceilings, so it was a bit difficult when we encountered two-way traffic, but the views from the top were definitely worth it. We could see the entire bottom portion of the island, and it was really cool to see the different colors between the mangrove restoration zone and the ocean on the other side of the sandbar. The door is quite small, so be prepared to be nimble. We hopped back in the car and were headed to the Ferry building, passing by a house dedicated to Bob Marley in the process. The ferries run in the hour, and we were just able to make the 5 p.m. one. Thanks for joining, and make sure to follow and subscribe for more places to visit and activities to do on your travels.